So, Boom Studios just dropped their press release for Mighty Morphin Power Rangers 30th Anniversary Special. Now, if you don't know what this is going to be a comic book with a bunch of different stories celebrating 30 years of Power Rangers. They did this for the 25th anniversary of the franchise, and it was a bunch of different one-shot stories. And once again, they're doing it again, but this time they've got an all-star cast of talent brought on board for these different stories. We've got Ryan Parrott, Matt Groom, Melissa, we've got I do apologize if I butchered your name, Megard Scott. I believe they did the Adventures of Bulk and Skull. I think they did that story back in the day. I don't know. I'll probably correct myself in post-editing. But hey guys, Future Ash here, just sliding this part into the video somewhere. Actually, I was wrong, dead wrong. And Margaret Scott, I do apologize for butchering your name. Margaret Scott worked on issue 0 with Kyle Higgins when the comic first launched. So I do apologize for getting that bit of information wrong. Margaret Scott was one of the persons who worked on issue 0 when the comic first launched. So I do apologize for getting that bit of information wrong and thinking that Margaret worked on one of the side stories back in the day. So I apologize for that misinformation and I'll remember it next time. So with that said, on with the main topic. Back to Past Me. We've got frickin' Maria Engrad Mora, who is doing Ranger Academy. But not only that, we've also got Amy Jo Johnson and Matt Hodson, who have a preview or a prelude for their upcoming book, Mighty Morphin Power Rangers, The Return, or I should say mini-series, because I think that's what they're calling it. So, we've got a little bit of that in there, but not only that, a bunch of all-star artists who are back for this one-shot, and I couldn't be any more excited. Let's go over it. We've got the cover up on screen right now. We're going to look at the different variants. There's probably going to be a lot more that they're going to show off leading up to this when it drops on August 30th, so it comes out a couple of days after Power Rangers Day, so they couldn't get it out on the 20th anniversary, 30th anniversary, unfortunately, but hey, I'm glad we're doing this again to celebrate 30 years of Power Rangers. So here's the main cover. I used this for the thumbnail a while ago. I think it's a pretty cool main cover. And then we've got all the talent down there. This is done by Dan Mora. We've got this one. There's no artist for this one. It's just an old press release shot they did back in the day. This one you've probably seen a lot when it comes to Power Ranger pictures. We've got a variant on the very first issue done by Jamal Campbell, which is issue 1, but I believe this is going to be a foil cover because it's 30 years of Power Rangers and 6 years of Power Ranger comics. Then we've got this one done by Bon Bernardo, where it has all the villains from the comics, all the villains from the comics on this side, and then the TV show on this side. Now, with all the villains on here, it only goes up to Dino Charge, unfortunately, so I do wonder when this was set in production, because you don't see any Void Knight or Void Queen, or frickin' Galvanax from Ninja Steel, or Venjix, or you see other Venjix, but you don't see Evox Venjix, you only see the other Venjix over here. So this is a pretty cool cover, and I do like all the different greatest hits villains from the comics. I mean, you've got the Imperials up here, the Sentry Force 4, you've got these Dark Rangers here, Psycho Green, Alpha 1, Draken, a frickin' Frawl Putty, you got the Vessel here, and Mistress Vile, who are fairly new, and then you've got the big vampire villain that we saw in the mini story arc. So this cover's really freaking cool. And then we've got this Tommy one, which looks really neat as the Green Ranger. And then we've got this one, which I think this is going to be a foil one done by Goni Montez. And this is Tommy in all these different forms. I'm definitely going to have to pick this one up as it celebrates 30 years of Power Rangers. But not only that, it's a tribute to JDF. So I'm going to have to pick this one up for sure. So I believe that's all the covers. We're going to jump right into the stories. Now, I don't know who has written all of these, but I guess we can speculate and theorize who wrote what. And I don't think this is all the stories either, because we only get a couple of pages here and there. So let's look at them. So here's this one, Ode to Ernie. And it's a story about Ernie that Ryan Parrott is working on. We have Ryan Parrott here, and then Eleonora Calarini, who did the Color Swap arc and the Lady Fianna arc. So this is really freaking great. Eleonora also did a bunch of the Legacy covers when it was the different runs, like the Mighty Morphin / Power Rangers. They did a lot of the Legacy numbering issues, I believe, or covers, I believe. So here's the story about Ernie. This is going to be a lot of fun. You never see Ernie get a lot of love in the comics these days, so it's cool to have a story focusing around him. And then the next one is a Tommy-focused story. So I believe this is going to be sort of like a what-if story for Tommy, and it's interesting with what it's telling. So you've got this ring down there, you've got Tommy fighting these monsters that have an emoji face, but also some teeth down there. So it's a really crazy one, but it looks like Tommy's got a bounty on him. But what's also really interesting to note, Tommy is using the Master Morpher in this shot. So I am curious to see what the story is about. This one's got artwork done by Henry Pressreader, who did the artwork for the sort of early run of Mighty Morphin Power Rangers during the Carl Higgins days, but they also did artwork for the Kamen Rider 01 comic that came out recently. I don't know who wrote this one. I'm sorry because I don't think we're meant to know just yet. But yeah, this is a Tommy-focused story, and let me bring up the press release, because I think they give an insight of what this is about. So, I'll read what we've got here. So, like I said, we've got an Ernie story, an Alpha 5 story, which we'll get to in a bit, a mind-bending what-if story about Tommy's powers that introduces an all-new alternate universe, a deeper look into Tommy's relationship with Kat. So, that might be it. So, we've got this one. This looks freaking sweet. Tommy using the Master Morpher. I can't wait to see that in action. And what this story's about, because I really love the one-shots that they tell. Like the Trial of Corone, that one was really freaking good. And then there was another one with Udana and Mystic Mother talking. That was a really great one. So, these one-shot stories are really freaking sweet. Also, I think one of the annuals... No, that was an annual. But one of the annuals had the Draken story where he invaded the in-space universe. And then we've got the Alpha 5 story. So this Alpha 5 story is probably going to leave a lot of people scratching, because we see Edenoi. And I might make a video on this later down the line about why we don't see Dex or Masked Rider anymore, because a lot of people say, when will Masked Rider show up in the comics? And I've made theories about it too, wondering if we will see them, but this is a story of Alpha 5 just being born. It's 9,980 years before Rita's escape, so just before they seal her, or no, just before she gets out of the dumpster. But yeah, we've got King Lexion talking with Alpha 5, and this is sort of Alpha finding his own unique purpose. So this is a very new story, or sort of like a very new take on Alpha, right after he was created. And then we've got this one, a Ranger Academy story written by Maria Ingrid Mora. So Ranger Academy is coming out in October, and this is a really interesting one. So Angel Grove Institute of Technology. So it looks like Billy is here, and he's at some... Okay. So I think this is sort of like something the trickier. It's called Ranger Academy Office Hours, but I don't think it's going to have anything to do with the Ranger Academy that's upcoming. This is going to be like a slice of life story for Billy working at the office, but it's called Ranger Academy. But it's him sort of at college. So that's what it's about. So that's interesting. Unless it does somehow tie into Ranger Academy, and that's like the big, whoa, twist at the end. You never know, you never know. And then we've got this one. 30 years ago. I believe this is the story that Amy Jo Johnson is telling with Matt Hodson. And again, we've got the Francesco Moreno artwork. Let me go back. So Joe Miyagyon, I do apologize if I butchered your name. They're doing the artwork for Ranger Academy as well. So this is their art style. I do like it. It's this very anime look. And then Marco Ren is doing the Alpha 5 story on Edenoi. So I do apologize if I jumped over those artists back then. So here's what here's a glimpse of what that possible Amy Jo Johnson story is going to be about. And that might be the thumbnail. So we've got Kimberly narrating it, saying, as I look back on my life, I wonder how much of the past shaped who I am today. So Van is sort of like Zordon saying who you are, you're the Rangers. We've got the Mighty Morphin team fighting Eye Guy. Tommy wasn't there for that fight, but hey, he's here now. And then you've got sort of like a recreation of that kiss when Tommy stops being a Ranger. So this is probably the upcoming Amy Jo Johnson story for Mighty Morphin Power Rangers The Return, which is going to be a mini-series. Not sure how that's going to go down, not sure what's going to happen in that one, but that's going to be sort of like a prelude to it. So I am curious about the Amy Jo Johnson story. They've got Francesco on board. I love freaking Francesco's artwork. I think they do a really great job. Francesco did like the run of Power Rangers, I believe, with Ryan Parrott in it. I think. I could be wrong. But their artwork was really freaking great. I love their artwork that they did for that run. But like this looks freaking great, all of these covers. So we've got the villain ones, we've got the Tommy one, and then the Ernie story. So I freaking love this artwork that we've got here. So we've got a story about Ernie, like I said, a story about Tommy, which is going to be interesting. We've got a story about Alpha 5 finding purpose on Edenoi, or meeting King Lexion. Now, where was I going earlier? I was going to say I was going to make a video about why don't we see Kamen Rider in Power Rangers or the comics. Well, that might be in an upcoming video, but you can probably guess what it's going to boil down to in the end. So we've got the Billy story, and then we've got the possible return of the story of Amy Jo Johnson. So we've got that one. So I'm excited to pick this up on August 30th. I'm definitely going to be covering on the channel. If you've made it this far into the video, I've got this question to ask. Would you like me to cover all the stories in one video, or would you like to see them in separate videos? I might have to do them in separate videos, because I feel like there's a lot I can go over with each of these stories and break them down and talk about them. Because I feel like the Amy Jo Johnson one I can make a video out of and talk about it because it's a prelude, and the Ranger Academy one, and of course the Alpha one. So I feel like I'm going to make these separate videos when the books come out, and I'll definitely be talking about them. So with that said, I think I'm going to bring this video to a close. If you enjoyed this video, hit that like button, subscribe to the channel if you're new, and I'll